Only 2 more series to conclude. Bracket number 1 here for the Intel Extreme Masters, day number 1 of our World Championship, as a massive spoiler has occurred here in the bracket stats. Our second place finisher from 2017 is eliminated by homegrown Polish Terran Soul himself. What a victory for him. I'm joined at the desk once again by some handsome gents. Pig, Soul being able to take out stats is massive to start off the day.
I mean, this is so big. I mean, for the players, the fans out there who don't know Soul that well, it's especially meaningful because this is not just beating stats, it's beating a Protoss god, the guy who was the runner-up last year, in a matchup which Soul traditionally hates. He struggles in this matchup. He's been very vocal about struggling in it.
Oh, he says he does.
He says he does. Oh, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's not making it up with the special words he uses to describe the matchup, which I can't say on air sometimes in the past when I've spoken to him. But, you know, he came out, he pulled out the right builds. He took advantage of the fact that Stats loves to wall off the low ground. So, you know, good reaction to his opponent, and awesome to see a new Polish player kind of carrying the flag.
Definitely, and he sits now in the qualifying match where he is awaiting either Ryung or DnS, which is going to be our next match, gentlemen, here as we get into things. So, no more Zergs left on this side. We have the potential of 3 Terrans being able to qualify through from this first bracket, and DnS, that 1 Protoss remaining to fight things through. And Todd, I want to talk to you about this, in that Ryung versus DnS is actually a fixture that we saw very recently in the Korean qualifier for this actual tournament itself, and DnS was able to beat Ryung there as well. Yeah. So there is definitely an opportunity here for another upset, if you could call it that, going through the bracket.
Yeah, DnS flies under the radar a lot, you know, and like as much as we got to cast disqualifiers, we can't do every match, obviously, but it doesn't surprise me when a player finally reaches the level that DnS is at right now, when he works so hard, goes over to Korea to train with the best. They're going to start taking names eventually, even some big names like Ryung's. It was an online tournament, though. That's the thing. It was just a qualifier. And now is when it matters the most to actually be able to play as well as he did online and try and take out Ryung, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, definitely tasteless. And it feels like, though, DnS, ever since going over to Korea, we've been watching him speak as well from these interviews. Feels like he has this enthused confidence in him, a bit more than we've seen at previous LAN events for him. So there is definitely a chance for him to move on here.
Absolutely. I would say that the practice is finally paying off. And I think we're having an interesting narrative unfold here, which is that new young blood is being injected into StarCraft 2. We've all been casting for such a long time, and it could be a bit strange to see some of these big name players we thought were going to perform a little bit better actually getting outclassed by these I guess, unexpected badass players moving up through the ranks.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. I think we're almost ready to go over to our commentary team here, as it's going to be DnS going up against Ryung. The winner of this gets an opportunity to qualify for the group stage later on in the tournament.
G'day guys, Maynarde and Artosis here for this TVP. Ryung versus DnS. This one's going to be a cracker, Artosis. What are your thoughts on this series?
This is a really good one. Like, Ryung, maybe a year ago, I would look at this and say, oh, Ryung's going to crush some face. He's like, was playing very well. But Ryung has kind of been MIA. We haven't seen him qualifying for a bunch of tournaments. We haven't seen him traveling a whole bunch. You know, he hasn't been in GSL lately. So he's maybe not in quite the top form he was before, but he's been playing pretty well today. DnS, on the other hand, I'm liking his games a lot, Maynard. I think that he could take this down.
I honestly think that DnS's run in this bracket has been a lot harder than Ryung's.
Yeah.
He is really turning heads. He's trying to get rid of that moniker of the online warrior and become a LAN god as well, which is really where the big money is in StarCraft 2, and he's taking it very seriously. It's going to be really sick to see if Ryung still has what it takes from his GSL days. And if he can get it done here in Poland, in the bottom right here, it is the blue Korean Terran player, Ryung. And it's up left on a tear here from France. This is the Protoss, DnS. He's been very well spoken in these interviews.
Yeah.
There's a lot to say, actually. Like that turns me into a fan of someone when they're a player. When they have a lot to say and they're very eloquent about it, and they can really break down their thought process in their games. DnS has been brilliant, like just outside in game and also just out of game, talking about his series.
Well, this just shows what a bunch of dorks all of us commentators are, because literally everyone's been talking to each other about because DnS normally, like, when he does go to these tournaments, he doesn't win, so he doesn't get interviews. But now that he's getting all these interviews, every single person now has been like, whoa, his interviews are actually really good. And, like, he's standing up straight and, like, looking in the camera and stuff. And it's just, it's super cool to see. This guy has a good personality. And, I mean, his play has been really great as well. And the thing is, if he takes out Ryung here, we have, like, a guaranteed French or Polish player moving on out of this group. This bracket is the most stacked, in my opinion, out of the 4. ROTY stats, come on, Maynarde!
I agree with you. I agree with you. The champion is here. The runner-up is here. Like, they're all here.
Yeah.
There is something special about Katowice. I can't put my finger on it, but it's just the storylines get pretty amazing. There's a reason why people keep talking about it 8 or so months down the line. Even when the global finals are kicking off, people are like still bringing up Katowice results because of how incredible that tournament ends up being for us and the fans. But we're having ourselves a pretty regular opening here for Ryung and DnS. Ryung going for a Reaper expand, and DnS just basically going for a 1-gate expand as well. Very, very stock standard, except he's walling off the natural and not the main.
Yeah, nothing too weird going on anywhere here. Maybe that 1 extra probe in the gas. I wonder if there'll be any nerves coming in for DnS at some point, because he has to look at this right now and say, wait a minute, I'm against Ryung. You know, this is doable. And then he's against Soul if he wins that, and that's doable as well, to be honest, even though Soul is playing out of his mind. So
yeah, very aggressively. Ryung, we'll see if he wants to take the aggressive path as well, or if he's not afraid of that late game. There's 5 probes in this gas now. It looks like Ryung's going to help him out with that saturation, but trying to kill a probe or 2. But the Adept is going to have a pretty good, chance of getting rid of this Reaper by itself.
7. Let's see how many probes he can get on here. At this point, as Ryung, I wouldn't even kill the probes. I want 7 probes on that gas. I don't want him microing those probes at this point.
Don't make him look at that gas, guys. Don't make him look at that. The Reaper's over here.
Oh, only 6 now. Okay.
Feels bad. Reaper's still getting a lot of information here for Ryung. Has he seen the Stargate at all, though? It's on the very, very edge of the bottom of the main.
I don't know, actually. Let's take a look.
Okay, yes, he has seen it. Okay, great. If the Reaper went up there and didn't see that, that'd be pretty horrible for Ryung. He already has a starport on the way, so he can get a Viking out if he needs to. But you know, with the Oracle changes, you don't need that many more Marines to be able to deal with the Oracle in your mineral line anymore.
No, you're certainly right about that. But it's still a good opening. You know, I actually still really like Oracle in this match. It still gives you a ton of great scouting and all that. You know, the Stasis Ward is still a pretty powerful spell, and you know, if you get a few, you can deal with the Marines in an okay way.
Clever girl. trying to hide this Wedamine here, but the Adepts are going to bait it out. Trying to catch the Oracle here, of course. Getting the Adept is a nice consolation prize.
You know what? He's trying to put some damage onto that Widowmine. Looks like enough Marines will go ahead and save it. So I don't foresee a ton of damage coming out here, but a Phoenix being made, a Forge going up. I wonder what we're going to see out of this. Are we going to see multiple Phoenixes? Maybe even a Phoenix Adept play? Maybe. Sort of Widowmine is in vision here for DnS, so he easily takes it out. Oracle gets out of there without taking too much damage, just shield damage here. I have seen some Protosses actually go into like Charge Lot Phoenix as a unit composition against Terra. It's been very, very powerful. It's sort of like the new Adept Phoenix, even scarier. But it's not in every PvT. It'd be pretty cool to see though. That of course, you know, no Twilight Council or anything like that. So. Well, that's weird that we don't see a Twilight Council yet. Like, you'll normally time that out with the Forge or even possibly before the Forge, because it's like, well, you can get whatever upgrade you want in that Forge, but if your gateway units don't have their corresponding upgrade, they don't do anything. Like, okay, yeah, +1. You can get +3 armor on those Zealots. If they don't have Charge Man, he's going to kill them all with Marines. Yeah, I mean, the late Twilight Council may be a mistake. I don't want to say it is, but it is very, very late. I agree with you there. Yeah. But it is going for +1 armor, so it feels like Charge Lots are the option because they just benefit so much in armor against Marines. I would definitely agree with that. It'd be kind of funny if he's like getting +1 armor for Adepts. Yeah, making a bowl of Stalkers. We don't even know what's going on. No blink or anything. He's getting it for his DTs that he's going to get blinked for. Watch. That's right. Those Archons with their 10 hit points. So a little bit of extra armor. That would be the worst one. Oh, I love it. We see that Ryung actually got rid of that Oracle with the Viking earlier. He's trying for a Widowmine play. The Phoenixes are ready for this medevac, though. He looks very solidified down here. But there is a Marine push heading towards that 3rd Nexus. Well, here comes the medevac. The Phoenix is not moving. Oh, no! Oh, no. Goodbye, probes. Yeah, that was not meant to happen there for DnS. Those Phoenixes were there for a reason, and now the 3rd Nexus is under pressure here. Wow. Or actually just 1 Marine. He pulled the rest back. You know, to lose 8 probes at this point, to not have done that much really with your Oracle, with the lateness of the third Nexus. Thing is, I know this build, the Phoenix charge, and you need to kind of be on top of your economy. You need to make sure that you can buy the maximum number of Zealots, because the first push Terran does is really the scary one. Once you hold that, you can kind of swarm and overwhelm, but losing those probes, the later third Nexus, it seems to me like Ryung is in a pretty good spot.
It looks very solid. He's got a good chunk more army supply. He's about to have +1 attack as well for his bio, which is fantastic. DnS comes in with the Phoenixes, looking for a bit of economic damage here. He does get a few SCVs, and one Viking, definitely not enough damage per second to get rid of these to Phoenixes so they get out alive. This Liberator is annoying, though. The Phoenix is out of position, and nothing that shoots up here, so he has to recall the Phoenixes by the looks of it.
That's something you don't see every day, recalled Phoenixes.
Yeah. They're a pretty quick unit. Normally they can just fly over, but not fast enough. He doesn't want to, deny that much mining time here. Oh, Ryung's going for like a Maru-esque strat here, loading up 3 medevacs.
Against Phoenixes.
Yeah, which Maru also tried to do.
he forces the recall, so he has a pretty decent idea that the Phoenixes are going to be out of position. All right, he boosts in and drops. Oh my God, DnS doesn't see this. His recall's gone as well. He has to walk all the way back.
And he's going to take a lot of damage here. All of his gateway units are down here at the third Nexus trying to hold on. The Phoenixes, they had one job, Artosis, and they didn't do it very well. These medevacs are all still alive, and the Stim bio completely unloaded, killing so many probes.
Oh my God, the damage is so severe. And even if he kills off all these units, I don't think it matters that much. Ryung has just murdered the economy here of DnS. Look at that. Phoenix is being picked off here as well.
Yeah, getting a bunch of units to boot as well as this economic damage. That was a devastating drop there for DnS. Oh, man. Another Phoenix dying there. Salt in the wounds for the French Protoss, and Ryung takes a massive lead.
Yeah, that's pretty big right now. This is not looking good at all. Look at that. 32 probes dying.
Ouch.
And this is pretty early in the game. Like, if 32 probes have died and we're 18 minutes in and they both have 4 bases and 60 workers, it's like, okay, well, that's one thing. But this early, when you're trying to go for a quick charge lot play, you already lost most of your Phoenixes. Like, you can't be lifting up the Marauders, you can't be killing the medevacs, you can't even lift up all the mines because you don't have the Phoenixes. So now we're just sitting here with what is going to be not a substantial army.
Not really. I mean, he is trying to go in a charge lot Archon, which is fantastic against Bio, but it's a game of numbers here. If your opponent has 20 more army supply of Bio, it's going to, especially with Widow Mines, it's going to trade out very, very well against this unit composition. The Widow Mines don't care about armor. They do spell damage, not attacks, so...
I thought you said the Widow Mines don't care about honor. I'm like, wow, that's very judgmental of you, Maynarde. Like,
I would never say that. I play this race.
Yeah.
Widow Mines are very
well, then you know that they don't care about honor until the recent patch that lets you see them after they shoot. Yeah. That was an honorful change, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe in your opinion. Well, we have the rocks getting up down here so that Ryung can reinforce this attack a little bit easier and hit in 2 places at once a lot easier. Starting to wall off this little base down here, which, it's an orbital, so it's not super safe, and he'd be heading towards a 4th base shortly here. But he's he's looking very, very strong with the upgrades. When 2-2 finishes, his bio is going to be incredibly powerful against this army.
Yeah, his upgrades are going to get ahead. But I like the +2 armor right now that we do have for these Zealots. It does give him kind of a little power spike. +2 armor is pretty fantastic against just +1 attack. But look at this, 3 ghosts on the way already. He's playing against someone that has quite a few sentries and Archons. That's really the bulk of his army.
A little bit of catch here on these Phoenixes. Phoenixes go down, but honestly, the time the Phoenixes is over. They're a nice little addition to have, but it's kind of all about getting this ground force and that splash damage out for DnS. Because, I mean, just Zealots and Archons without any kind of Colossi or Storm or something like that, it's going to be a little bit tough to get the job done against what Ryung's going for here. The Ghosts, of course, even if they're riding your High Templar to EMP, they can still EMP all these Zealots and make things a lot easier for the bio. Cancels that CC immediately, sees these charge lots running on through, has EMPs available on these Ghosts here.
Oh, he borrows a lot of Widow Mines. Here we go, the charge in comes. Those Widow Mines going off all over the place. A huge amount of Zealots going down, a ton of shields being removed as well.
Yeah, stutter step here from Ryung, maybe able to seal the deal here. And DnS is looking for a better angle. Another EMP from a Ghost fresh out of a barracks here for Ryung, and it looks like he's just going to take this engagement.
Yeah, he's starting to really whittle everything down at this point. These Archons starting to fall. Very few units left over. GG is called, and DnS falls to Ryung in game number 1. Some great harassment from Ryung.
But you know, DnS was expecting that. It was just unfortunate that his Phoenixes, like, I guess maybe not looking at it, you know, trying to do something somewhere else on the map. StarCraft 2 is a very hard game, guys. If you're looking somewhere else, you can't, you know, multitasking kind of exists, it kind of doesn't, because you're only doing one thing at a time. You're just doing it so quickly that it looks like you're doing multiple things at once. And Ryung actually found that opening, and that drop was really where it snowballed for DnS.
Yeah. The mine drop just pretty fantastic. And let's not forget that 3 medevac drop that came in. That was brutal. He had just used his recall. All of his units were out of position, and that funny building placement is his natural. His Archon couldn't even come up.
Yeah.
Like, he had an Archon just kind of pacing around outside the wall. It's like waiting for these Zealots to get in the main to clear. Everything went wrong for DnS, and yeah, I wonder if maybe the pressure's mounting a little bit. He's doing I feel like he's doing better than maybe he expected, because he's never done this well before in such a tournament.
Well, I'm sure he has confidence in his play. You need to be confident and sure of yourself to get this far at a tournament this prestigious. I mean, Ryung is just played so strategically brilliant in that game. Like you said, with that recall, he knew he had an opening. Where he's like, the Gateway Army needs to be one place, I can always hit the other place. And they have to walk to deal with me. It's just great decision making. DnS has been making great decisions in these games. He's very, very brilliant of a Protoss player. And PvT is one of those matchups where it can easily just snowball one way or another. It's very temperamental. One big mistake, one big maneuver from either player, and a player as good as DnS or Ryung will make you pay for it.
Well, yeah, hopefully DnS can make Ryung pay for it this time and tie
I'd love
that
a tight
up.
series. I'd love a tight series.
Yeah, I like it when it gets close. We've had a lot of good game 3s today so far.
Certainly have.
DnS looks rather focused right now. Really wants to get to that decider match. Again, the winner of this plays against Seoul for the 3rd spot in this group.
Yeah, so they want to have a pretty solid TVT or a pretty solid TVP, and also be pretty defensive, because Seoul has been showing a lot of aggression in his series.
Yes, he has.
All right, well, we are on the cusp here for game number 2 between Ryung and DnS. Can Ryung close it out in a 2-0, or will DnS fight back?
You're about to see.
All right, in the top spawn here of Neon Violet Square, this is Ryung. Still sporting that Axiom hoodie. Well, the nostalgia.
Great team.
Indeed. And in the bottom right, the French Protoss. This is DnS.
Alrighty. You think DnS is going to come back this one?
I think he absolutely has it in him. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, because I think that he, you know, he has the ability to. It's just that StarCraft 2 is one of those games that when you are losing, it's hard to look good. And that was kind of DnS in that game, where he took a bit of damage, it started to snowball out of his control, and even though we know he's a brilliant player, as a viewer of the game, you're sitting there going, oh, this looks really bad, because he's taking damage everywhere, over and over and over.
Yeah, especially when you have a strategy like that, where it's like oh, hey, I'm going to go charge lots. It's a good strategy, Maynarde. I bet you lose to that all the time being a Terran player, right?
Every day.
Yeah.
At least 10 times.
But if they don't have a lot of probes, you don't have that economy, you can't make as many, it does start to look pretty bad. And I don't think that game was very indicative of what the rest of the series is going to look like.
Well, hopefully not. I'd love to see DnS fight back. I mean, I'm a fan first and a caster second, so I always want every single game to go to the ace match. Because more StarCraft is better than less StarCraft. I mean, it's a very easy equation.
Well, I got to tell you something, Maynarde. You're going to be in a good mood when I tell you this, too. This is IEM Katowice.
Yeah.
Okay. When you say more StarCraft is always better than less StarCraft, we're going to check back in with you in 7 days and see how you're feeling about that, my friend.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm feeling about? This is actually my most hated probe of all the Protoss probes. It's the first probe, the scouting probe.
Oh, yeah.
As a Terran player, this is a very frustrating thing to that little jerk right there on the camera. This guy is really hard to deal with. That's why you usually see Terrans, they don't even mess around. They'll pull 2 or 3 SCVs to chase that thing down, because they don't want to have any of their structures interrupted. They don't want to have their workers harassed by it. They want to make sure the Reaper comes out, and they are just going to put everyone back on work after that. So we're seeing a pretty quick factory here from Ryung in his base, and DnS going for a very fast expansion, adept expanding again, just like the last game.
And look at that, the first probe comes back. But he made the Marine.
Yeah.
Sometimes they start that reactor right afterwards, and then the Reaper has to come home. That's my favorite thing to do with the first probe. And then, of course, when you chase it all the way down and it gets recalled, oh, I love it.
It's such a, yeah. When Hero first did that,
I looked at it and I was like, is that right? And I think about it, I'm like, yeah, actually, that's great. That's much better than Chrono boosting some extra probes.
Oh, man, I don't know. It doesn't seem worth it, but... Oh, we had the Reaper sort of juking this Adept a little bit here, finding its way into the main, seeing the Stargate again. So Ryung, once again, just like the first game, seeing that Stargate, and he's able to react back at home. Starport going down. He was already going for Widowmine drop by the looks of it, so it's a very anti-Oracle opening and very anti-Adept pressure opening as well.
It's very solid openers from both sides. Hopefully DnS can do a little bit better here. Of course, the first Widowmine just did a lot of damage, right? You send out your 2 Adepts. You're not really hoping for a Widowmine to come up and mess with that. But we'll see where he puts it this time. I did like... Ryung has always been a player that hides the first Widowmine in a very cool spot to try to catch things. And look at that. It's like out in plain sight. This is a place where you might not really be looking at the map as your units pass through this area.
Yeah, you need to park your vision on that Oracle, just like DnS is doing with these Adepts, by the way. It's a Maynarde adjustment from game 1, not losing an Adept to the first Widowmine this time.
Yeah, that was a good little shade there, trying to get prepared to go up and attack into the Widowmine, but it goes back into a defensive posture coming up.
Yeah, DnS is looking for a Marine or 2 here, like a little bit of chip damage, nothing consequential, but, you know, could be nice in the long run. Oracle's coming in to be a little bit annoying paired up with these Adepts. This one takes a little bit of damage, a third one shading in to help out as well. That's actually a relatively, it's a small force, but it's relatively scary.
Oh, the Viking coming out actually going to help quite a bit here. Oh! Ooh. I'm surprised by that.
Just baited.
He knew that that was back there, right? So just a bit of miss micro?
Maybe a little bit there with that Oracle. He really, really wanted to kill as many Marines as possible. You know, he killed a few Marines, but maybe not worth with the Oracle again. So
I would say not worth at this point. But you know what? He's still trying to get a little bit of damage done. The mine is on cooldown, so this could be a good time to finish a shade in. But if he ends up losing all these units while he's taking a third base and he's already lost his Oracle, something bad could happen.
Yeah, I mean, Ryung knows these Adepts are in here, and he's going to try and chase them down with 5 Marines. Adepts can shade out to safety here. They should be able to survive.
Yeah, they're going to shade out and maybe... Oh, a proxy pylon. 3 Stalkers coming in. This is a nice move. The Marine's out of position. He picks off the Viking right away here.
And with the opening here, you don't have add-ons for your barracks for a long time, so there's no stim, no combat shield. It's just starting now for Ryung. The stim is a long way off. So stutter step here from a DnS is doing a lot of damage to Ryung. Widowmine, though, does connect with the Adept. Stalker's very, very low in hit points. And even though he's only killed 4 SCVs, he's denying a lot of mining time.
Yeah, and you know what? 4 SCVs, plus he killed a good chunk of army there. Like, he got the Viking. Ooh, yeah. Good Widowmine placement right there to take out another Stalker. But I would say overall, this has actually turned out to be rather successful to reduce the Marine count that high while taking such a quick third and going armor and charge. I like it from DnS.
And I mean, if you look at the worker count right now, which you can, like with this overlay, he's up almost 20 workers with a third base here. And this is where it gets comfortable as a Protoss.
But Maynarde, if you look at the army count right now, which you can with this overlay, Ryung definitely dominating in that regard.
Certainly can. Not if he loses his medevac though. That would certainly suck. He has to boost away. Yeah, I mean, this drop is going to pair up with Stim. So, yeah.
In case you guys didn't know, this is the Intel Extreme Masters.
This isn't actually a WSG or anything like that. This is actually Intel Extreme Masters. So this drop got tagged by that Phoenix with the medevac very, very low. It's risky for Ryung to dedicate this drop to the main base of DnS, so he has to pull back. Meanwhile, the Liberator is also looking for a third Nexus. Actually, is he pulling that back as well? Huh.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised about this, right? Like, he saw that there's a third base. Phoenixes flew into his medevac. He wasn't completely sure that Phoenixes were going to be there, considering how many gateway units were being used. But overall, I think Ryung is correctly deciding that if he commits right now with, like, 2 different harassments and neither work, his chances of winning this game are going to go down to close to 0.
Yeah, DnS is starting to catch up in army count here. DnS and Ryung catching up at worker count just with these, CCs churning in overtime with the SCV count. But both players are just basically taking a bit of a breather. They're going to go into the mid game here and try and battle it out there. Templar Archive's halfway done for DnS, so Charge Lot Archon probably going to be on the menu again with Storm at some point. But some Protosses are actually just omitting Storm altogether and going down the Robo path, but that would be a little bit late at this point.
Yeah, and, I like the way that he's doing this, right? He has enough Phoenixes that as long as he doesn't get caught off guard like we saw in the previous game with that medevac, he's going to stop all harassment to the point where Ryung, being a smart player, he might not even try to harass until later on. And he's also got that +2 on the way. So I look at this situation with the Archons getting added into that also, that additional splash damage and tanking. This is really good for DnS, I think. And we're seeing his supply start to really shoot up as he gets in all his production rounds.
Phoenix changing course there and actually saved its own life, unbeknownst to the Phoenix. There's a Cyclone out here as well that he could pick up and damage, maybe even kill without the Phoenix joining in. There it is. That's a nice pickoff there.
Yeah, still patrolling around the map, but of course, you know, when you're using your Phoenixes somewhere, the medevacs can be somewhere else, and that this could be a powerful move, but oh god, that harassment from the Phoenixes that might be coming up.
Yeah.
This is going to kill quite a few SCVs.
I mean, that's not that many Marines either, so he can actually duck and run here, not losing those Phoenixes. But Ryung knows that the Phoenixes are up here, so that leaves an opening to boost and not do anything. Actually,
yeah, he boosts
to go home.
To the left and unloads. I find that weird. Like, he saw where the Phoenixes are. If he just boosts to the right, maybe he did a scan or something. If we look at the main, maybe there's like stalkers with... No.
Nope.
I mean, if he just boosts the right, he gets there before anything, but that's a big army coming in, so maybe he needs to go on defense.
I mean, DnS has a lot more army supply than Ryung right now, and he's looking to push that third. Ryung will actually have to commit this drop. Like, there's no way they're going to get home in time to help out, which is going to cause him to take tons of damage back at home. This third is not going to survive.
No, that third needs to be lifted up immediately, but look at this massive drop. Takes down the Tasteless pylon, and now that in control pylon left alone. Gonna clear that out. The gateway's not working. Charging into the natural now.
Yeah, it certainly is here. DnS not opted to recall to deal with the drop. He's gonna put the damage on the other side of the map here. Phoenix is getting rid of all the medevacs, lifting up some of the Widow Mines as well. And the Bio is started stepping back, but the bunker is busted. DnS continues his reign of terror here in the natural of Ryung. The third lifted. The main unpowered here for DnS though. Both players in this kind of weird base trade right now.
Yeah, it definitely is looking like a base trade full on here, but can Ryung actually hold on at home? I mean, Terran players are normally good in this situation, but the army of DnS is certainly stronger.
It certainly is, and he also has Phoenixes as well, and the ability to recall, which he does. And with these Phoenixes, he may try and chase down these medevacs. If the boost runs out, he can't get them. Solid Widow Mine there, a lot of damage done to the army of DnS, but when the dust settles here, we've got Ryung losing a command center and also being on 20 workers against the Protoss that still has all 3 Nexi.
Yeah, that's a little bit rough. He really damaged the Nexus in the main base and everything, and he unpowered almost every gateway. But those repower pretty easily.
Yeah.
You just make a pylon next to him.
Put an Artosis pylon next to him.
Yeah.
One to power them all, and you're good to go.
He's
going for 3, actually. That's in control, Tasteless, and you.
And I mean, there you go. His production's back online. His economy is going to get boosted up rather quickly here. Ryung trying to get out on the map once again, but I'm not sure what his plan is.
See, the thing is, he's forced into a situation here, which is pretty clear, that he just doesn't have an economic game in him. That's not possible at this point.
Yeah.
He can't come back and make a macro game out of this. He needs to go all in with what he has here and hope that he kills DnS. But with DnS's army being this big and scary and not that far away from his main base, I don't know. I don't know if Ryung can win this one. In fact, I'd say very safely that he can't.
I definitely agree with you there. He drops out. Here we go. That army's starting to come up. The Guardian Shield comes up as well. A warping from behind. He will clear out those Zealots rather quickly, but the Phoenixes are coming back, so he can't even lift up.
Yeah, the Phoenixes are going to get targeted down here by these... oh, man. The medevacs are just going down with full supply, full loads here, and that is it for Ryung's army.
Yeah.
And DnS is... well, he's going to take this one away. I mean, Ryung was stayed around a lot longer than I thought he would, but that's GG right there. And DnS does tie it up. We told you guys he could do it.
Yeah.
And here we are. We're going to game 3.
An exciting game, a nice game right there out of DnS. Definitely kind of keeping his cool, having great defense everywhere. I liked that gateway pressure that he did. I was surprised when he lost that first Oracle, but it actually worked out pretty well for him, reducing that army, getting the quick third base and all.
Yeah, really good attack timing there. And great at decision-making as well. Like, he could have recalled there to go back on his main, but that would have given Ryung breathing room. And he's like, no. The better decision right now, which ended up being the correct decision, continue with the attack, tear him apart. He killed a couple command centers. And he's like, you know what? I am so far ahead right now, I can't even begin to tell you how far ahead I am.
Well, I tell you what, I really want to go into the third game, but I'm being told that Tasteless has something very exciting at the desk for us.
Yes, he does. But we all have something exciting, I think, because we have started bracket number 2. Tasteless isn't in the game right now, so Artosis, we're going to have to hold on off on that for a moment. We're going to start things off with Todd, who is currently in Mana going up against Zanster. What's gone on in game number 1 so far?
There's so many things. Like, these guys have been throwing armies in each other's face the whole game, and it looks like it's still somewhat even. Like, here on the walk account, we see Zanster is on 69 against 58, and like, let me show you what died so far this game. Multiple armies It felt like Zenster was doing well because he killed a very important base here, lost one army to do it, but he traded against Mana's army. And now we're in this situation where they're both trying to re-expand and kind of replenish their armies, like upgrade-wise. Zenster is doing better with +3 melee and +3 missiles, so I think he might be able to win this one, especially because of his better economy, but you can never underestimate the Protoss army.
Well, thank you very much, Todd. We can head over to laptop 3 now, as we do have Pig, who is currently in True versus Optimus. A bit of a quick recap as to what's happened so far in game number 1, Pig.
True, known for aggression, known for gambles, known for cheesing. He's playing a macro game.
Whoa,
and it's really weird because I've never seen him build more than 60 workers before, very occasionally. But True's just playing a really kind of straightforward game. He went for some roaches, he went for some infestors and swapped back into Ling Bane. And now we're getting to the late game. There's ghosts, there's liberators out here for Optimus. And True, though, he's looking to dominate the map. He's covered it with creep. He's coming forward. And this is actually a pretty huge engage. But Optimus's defensive positioning has been on point in this game. And we can see that in the units lost tab in the top left. So right now we're seeing Optimus trying to weather the storm. True's just trying to break him down with numbers.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. And Tasteless, you were covering Scarlet versus Guru game number 1. Game 2's just began, I believe, but game number 1 didn't go exactly how we expected going in.
That's right. Guru beat Scarlet in the first game. What is going on?
That's a thing. That's happening.
We are having so many upsets right now. This is crazy. I have faith that Scarlet can come back. There's nothing worth showing in game 2 as it just started up. This is getting a little bit scary. I feel like the entire landscape of who is on top is shifting just in day 1 of this tournament.
A scary matchup, I suppose, for Scarlet, going up against some of the Zergs that are less known in the European scene, but have been able to take games off the people and likes of Nurchio, Serral in qualifiers and
He's
stuff.
dangerous, you know, Guru. He's always that guy who comes out with these surprise upset matches once in a while, despite not really being as famous as these more established
Remember
players.
WCS Tours, he beat Snoot in round 1, and ever since he's been like the guy that we still somewhat get surprised, but he can't beat anybody up there.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen, as we get that recap done. Let's go over to game number 3 to find out the conclusion of our main stage series.
Oh boy, we are excited to see how this one finishes up here. I mean, there are storylines all over the place here, Artosis. Upsets here, upsets there. Even like predicted series is going down from time to time.
Yeah.
But we are in game 3 for this series between Ryung on camera right now against the French Protoss DnS. And this one is extremely hard to call.
It really is. Like both games, the winner really kind of crushed his opponent. So anything's possible here going into game number 3. If Ryung advances, a 3rd Terran will get out of this group.
Isn't that crazy? There's 3 spots, and they'd be all 3 Terrans.
Yeah. Well, it sounds to me like StarCraft is normalizing again, if that's what happens.
Some would agree with you, and some maybe not. At the bottom left here, the Korean Terran. This is Ryung. Very focused. And at the top right, the French Protoss with a beautiful game 2. This is DnS.
All right, DnS, show us what you got.
Show me what you got. So gateway expand here from DnS by the looks of things, going for a scout. How do you feel about PvT on Blackpink? How have you been doing on it? Well, I mean, is that a good analysis of this map, or do we just... how your ladder games have been going, or should we just talk about Protoss?
Well, I mean, my ladder games are probably not a very good analysis of anything.
I just realized
other than how to die to Banelings. But look, I think that Blackpink is obviously one of the better maps. This is a map that doesn't almost ever get vetoed. We kind of have this funny thing going on in GSL where I'm like, if you actually like held me over a cliff and you're like, I will drop you unless you tell me all the maps in GSL this season. I'm like, I don't know, because we don't play any of them. We only play Blackpink and like Catalyst and Ascension to Higher. But look, it's a pretty good map overall. You know, you have the ramp going up in your natural, so you're going to be able to easily defend there. I guess for me, the interesting thing is the 4th base, where you're going to end up taking that. And we've seen a lot of Terrans kind of do this thing where they get up to 1-1 and they kind of sit there, and the Protoss tries to get to 2-2. On this map specifically, we've seen that quite a bit. Like, I feel like this map in Catalyst, that happens quite often, where the Terran doesn't necessarily want to go in the later game, but I think Ryung's pretty comfortable with that type of play anyways, with getting into the later game, getting those additional upgrades, using a later game army as well.
Yeah, it is his comfort zone here. DnS's probe is still chilling in the smoke, waiting for the Reaper to head out, so getting that Reaper timing down before coming in for a look, so he'll be heading that probe in for a scout very, very shortly after the Reaper's gone too far to come back home. So nice little move there from DnS, pretty smart play. Actually, the Observer showed us before as well that the map's been changed slightly, where there's actually, it was a long time ago now, but for you guys that maybe haven't played in a while, Blackpink actually has a Reaper ledge now, so it's a little bit easier for the Reaper to come in and scout. However, he is going for the natural ramp here, going straight up the guts here for DnS to see what's going on. There's a depth shade though, it's going to attack on that Reaper one more time, he has to get out. Not really seeing too much info, but he sees you know, enough in the natural to at least know what he's up against for now.
Yeah, with the Twilight coming up, this could be aggressive play. Could just be DnS getting into Blink. That's kind of popular overall, but of course you can't scout with that too well. And Ryung, it's kind of interesting, right? Because we haven't seen Ryung like a whole lot in tournaments. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, if you've seen him a bunch lately.
Not lately, no.
Yeah. But the meta he's playing, like the builds he's using, he's going Mind Drop a lot. It looks like the builds of a year ago. Well,
Ryung gets him in that Reaper and sees Twilight Council and Dark Shrine. Now, does DnS cancel or does he continue on with this? This is a pretty beastly scout. That is a very... This is the kind of tech that when you scout it early, you can completely shut it down. But if you... You know, but, you know, if it happens anyway and maybe he expects that, there can be bamboozlement, which is, I think, the technical term.
There can be bamboozlement. I like that.
Yes.
Well, look, if you're going to leave that up, he's getting Blink with the Dark Shrine. I mean, the DT Shrine can still be okay. Canceling it, you know, you actually lose a decent amount because it's kind of an expensive building, and it takes so long to make. I don't mind him letting it finish, but what does he do with it? I was hoping that we'd see, like, the charged DT Blink or something. Like, please, come on. But... like, he's obviously not going to get damage done with it, right?
I mean, early Archons maybe, but, you know, if you're doing that, you'd want to pair him up with Charge Lots or, you know, a big Ball of Adepts, which is, you know, but he's getting Blink.
Yeah, it's not, Blink Archon isn't like a build.
No, it's not. Yeah, the Archons need a wall between the Terran and them to continue to do damage. And speaking of tankiness, there are tanks on the way here for Ryung as well in this army, just something he hasn't really utilized. It's been all about Bio-Mine in the last 2 games.
Yeah, I wonder what he's planning to do with that. Like, maybe one of these siege tank timing pushes that we see from time to time. And I mean, against Blink, seeing that there is a quick Twilight, Blink is definitely something that you do with that. So, I mean, the siege tanks can be very good defensively against that, or even offensively if you hit with a good amount of bio there as well. Yeah. But with the Dark Shrine finishing and him not even warping in a single DT, I just find that a little bit interesting. It's kind of neat. Like, he has it as a fallback. Well, but it hasn't really done anything.
I feel like without a Warp Prism, which I think is in the pipeline for DnS here as that robotics facility goes down, it's very tough to make the DTs work because he knows the Shrine's been scouted. The Terran is going to put, like, a Terran as good as Ryung. Not every Terran, but a Terran as good as Ryung is going to put turrets down on ground paths for the walking, you know, for DTs to walk into his base. So the Prism with DTs, I can see doing damage.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you drop one in the main base. Unless he has units sitting there, you're going to walk up and start one-shot in SCVs, so that's pretty good. Ooh, this drop coming. He has units there, but it didn't work last time. Ooh, DnS pulls, though.
Good map awareness. Quick reaction there from DnS, and Ryung thinks that it's not worth it here, so he pulls back. This push could be very scary here, and it looks like either the Liberator with the Medevac and Mines, or this push in the 3rd Nexus is going to do a lot of damage to DnS very shortly.
Yeah, Ryung with this kind of a double attack coming up here. Charge and 1-1 being started, but really he's working with Blink, a few sentries, and the possibility of DT tech right now.
This is scary. I mean, Ryung, maybe, I would imagine, has saved up some scans here for this push, because otherwise the DTs are going to be too strong for him defensively. The Widow Mines are actually coming in as well, so, oh, dude, it's going to be tough to get the Adepts on here. And meanwhile, there's Liberator going into the main base. No static defense here, and the ability to warp in Stalkers is available, but that's very annoying here for DnS.
Yeah, well, he's going to lose a lot of mining time there in the main base. And look, this tank timing push with units, with a building in the way, with Widow Mines there, you can't get on top of these siege tanks.
Yeah, certainly not. Not without a big ball of charge lots or a flank of some kind. That third Nexus is going down, Artosis. Huge pick off there for Ryung. Even supply blocking DnS now. He cannot replenish this army at the moment.
Yeah, his probes are still kind of stuck over there as well. He has a single DT on the map, but as you said, Ryung puts down a turret right within that walking path. And even though Charge is going to finish, that's not, like, super useful right now. He's on 2 base economy.
Yeah, certainly, and he's even going to send in this Widowmine to block and another attempt on this third Nexus. That's kind of funny how the hallucination baited out one of those shots there. And that Stalker's going to take one for the team. But yeah, that's a really devastating start here for DnS as Ryung shoots ahead here with that third CC on the way. DnS needs to he's kind of forced in a situation where he has to do some damage on the other side of the map or just, do a better job of defending.
What's the game plan, though? Like, look at his tools that he has. His army is really not impressive. He has the Blink upgrade. He has the 1/1 in charge, but, like, I don't know. Just the Scout of the Dark Shrine, first off, anytime that happens, you're just, like, scratching your head like, okay, well, there's not a great plan after that ever, right? The Dark Shrine is a risky building to get so early on, but it's really not paid off at this point.
Well, he's almost got a Marine there.
You're right.
I'm trying to go glass half full here for DnS.
No, totally.
Yeah.
He almost got a Marine.
Almost.
He forced that turret at the front.
He did.
He totally forced that turret, man.
That's 100 minerals right there. Anyway, jokes aside, the DT tech for DnS bringing, kind of a whiff here for him so far. Of course, they can become a bit of a problem later in the game, but DnS needs to get there first. This DT is going to block that third for a little bit here as Ryung, he sees a scary army for Ryung, which he has to take very seriously. It's a potentially game-ending army here.
Yeah, it is a scary push that's going to be coming out. Ghosts on the way as well, like really quite early Ghosts. Hey, now he's really gaining something. All right. That's some lost mining time. He forces the army to turn around.
Yeah, and a stim.
And he gets an SCV.
Yeah, there you go. Wow. That's the best DT he's had in this game so far. The Prism is on the way here for DnS.
It's the only DT he's had in the game as well.
That's true. It must have been the one that walked all the way over from the third base.
It was, yeah.
Wow. Well, Ryung here with a pretty scary army. He's up a fair bit in supply. The upgrades for DnS are going to be sitting pretty, though. He has 2-2. He has 2-2 about to finish, double forge here. Nice scan from Ryung, sees the army positioning of DnS.
Yeah, you're quite right, actually. The armory is not really super fast. He's going to be behind. When you're behind 2 upgrades and you're playing against Charge Lots and Immortals, well, your army's actually going to have a very hard time killing that off.
Yeah, it's very risky. Even with tanks are pretty fantastic against gateway units, but if you don't have a ton of them and you don't have a meat shield between the tanks and the Protoss army, then they're a massive investment. And if you lose that, then you're looking at a lost game. And this is the deciding map, so a lot matters here.
Yeah, Ryung does not want to be knocked out. I'm sure that Ryung was afraid of hitting stats at some point to get that third place once he lost tomorrow. But with him being knocked out, I think Ryung looks at this and says, you know what? If I can get past DnS, TVT is his best matchup for sure, and Soul awaits the winner.
Absolutely. That is a nice cluster of Widowmines there. Charge Lots definitely don't want to have to deal with that. But DnS is actually heading that path, though. Oh, no. Getting a little worried here for DnS.
Yeah, nice little blink away at that point.
I'm worried about the rest of them, though.
That's an interesting Liberator.
Certainly is a scan here. Just touching up the Stalkers a little bit. Trying to bait these Charge Lots in for an attack, but instead he just kills a bunch of them.
Not the greatest pathing right there.
Really.
I don't think that was part of his strategy. I'll run by. It'll make the Marines and Marauders waste ammo.
I think if DnS attacks any deeper than the high ground here, he's going to take too much damage, especially with that EMP.
He can't do anything here.
No,
he doesn't even have force fields. This is really rough on him. Luckily, he has 2-2, so he might be able to either fight or run away and not have it be as terrible as it could be. But this whole move out has really not done anything for him.
Oh, an attempt at a shade in here for DnS. He gets one Adept in, but unfortunately, even the depots just block it here. It does not hit anything, get any damage done. Small little moves here from Ryung, putting him further and further ahead. And speaking of being ahead, he is up 60 supply here, and most of it's an army.
Well, what do you think about this, actually? He's going into possibly double Robo Disruptor. That seems to me to be a really brilliant move, just because you can get lucky with Disruptor shots.
You can, and it also, can deal with Ghosts very easily. Ghosts can't be stemmed. They can be lifted up into medevacs, but they're actually not that quick. You can hit them with Disruptor Purification Novas quite simply.
I mean, as the true American hero says, all you need is a Disruptor and a dream.
That's right.
And we'll see if that's going to work out for him here.
And the can would never tell a lie.
No, of course not.
And we got that Liberator dealt with pretty handily there by DnS, but this is a scary Terran army right here. Those Disruptors could not come any sooner.
He needs to get those out, and they need to have some very solid shots coming up. It's one disruptor in the army. 2 more are going to pop out soon. He's still getting good upgrades also. Can he hold on? Okay, not the greatest first disruptor shot. 1 disruptor falls. Hey, that was a good one.
All right. He's going to be looking for the tanks and the Widow Mines, though. That's a scary thing. He wants his charge lots to have free reign on this bio. The Widow Mines are going to be able to kill all these charge lots with the tanks if he doesn't deal with them both. And that's what the disruptors are for. Another Purification Nova off cooldown comes on in. Gets 1 Marauder here. He needs better connections than this to stay alive.
All right, let's see what he can do. He is moving forward here. Once again, he has a couple of Immortals there in the front. They're taking quite a bit of damage. Another good disruptor shot does get hit.
Ooh, this one could be nice.
Hey.
There we go. All right. But he is starting to take damage. Ryung creeping closer and closer. That's a nice connection there. Ryung's actually losing a bit of army supply, but he is still up 40-odd supply. That is quite a bit. Can DnS make the difference here with his splash damage? So far, not really.
Yeah, the disruptors continue to shoot out. That one actually whiffing, the one before it only hitting a single Marine. Losing a few here and there as well. Gets a couple Ghosts and Widowmine. I mean, if he can keep that up, it's going to be okay, but the damage is being dealt by this army, and the third base falls.
And that's what he really wanted to hold on to. Now that that third is down, DnS is almost out. He's running out of steam here. Ryung, though, continuing to pressure, moving those tanks on forward, trying to get rid of these disruptors. A couple Marauders taking a shot there, and he's looking for another disruptor pick off. Looks like he's going to get it as well.
More disruptors continue to come. Oh, another good disruptor shot. I mean, some of these are definitely valuable, but this army of Ryung, it just keeps rallying in. He's taking a 4th base behind this.
And he's already done so much damage to the probe line as well. DnS is taking a 3rd Nexus here at the front, but he's going to start falling behind very, very fast with the economy here, especially considering he can't stop this push from Ryung yet. That's a nice connection there. The tanks are very, very low, but they are still alive. 2 disruptors nearly died there.
Ooh. He's lost so many disruptors at this point. It's really getting a little bit rough in that regard. Oh, a sick disruptor hit right there.
But still so much left for Ryung, though, Artosis. And DnS is pushed further and further back.
Another disruptor hit coming. Oh, nice. A quick pickup right there. Does get to dodge for the most part.
Yeah, he's making 2 disruptors at a time. He has the disruptors, he has the dream, but is it alive here for DnS? Ryung still pressuring so heavily here. Those Widow Mines are going to die, though.
Yeah.
That's a nice pick-off.
Nice hit there. Those 2 siege tanks that are both in the red, by the way, have dealt so much damage. Look at that, 15 kills, 11 kills. But the amount of splash damage they dealt as well is, like, overwhelming. It's crazy.
Disruptors actually, they're zoning out the bio and giving space to take out these Liberators, but the Liberators do siege up, and they are starting to do devastating damage to DnS here. It looks like it's over. Ryung doing so much. He's up 50-odd army supply now. There is just too much Terran on the floor here for DnS to deal with.
The disruptors now, or rather the Liberators have their range upgrade, so it's becoming harder and harder. He actually recalls outside of the Liberators, so a very clever move here, but is that going to be enough?
I don't know. Magic 8 Ball says outlook grim here for DnS. Sending another Purification over and is hitting nicely, but he needs to hit nicer than that. Every time he comes in for an attack, he loses 2 disruptors here and there. His natural now under siege. DnS is forced to tap out. GG! A wonderful run there from the French Protoss, but it is over.
Yeah, he got very deep into this group, really. When you think about it, he got top 5. So that is a solid performance. I think that this is probably the hardest group out of all of the brackets that we have in these first 2 days. So a good showing by DnS. A guy that everyone kind of is waiting to have that breakout land performance.
Yeah, and think about it. Who were the guys that we were waiting for with the breakout land performances? We were waiting for Special, we were waiting for Kaelaris, we were waiting for Scarlet.
Yeah.
And that's all come true. So
that's
maybe
true.
DnS's time, maybe 12 months, maybe less away here. And that'd be pretty sick for all fans of this guy.
All right, well, this is pretty sick. It's been a great tournament so far, Maynard. Ryung gonna go on to play Seoul next.
Yep, and ourselves a pretty tidy TBT. I wonder how it's going to look. Something tells me it'll be a little bit insane. But that is going to be our series for now. But more series is to follow, guys. We're going to take a short break. But when we come back, more StarCraft. We'll see you then.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2018. We just saw Ryung take down DnS, and that French dream is unfortunately dead. But for Ryung, he stays alive. So first of all, congratulations, Ryung. You were able to take down DnS 2-1, but it was definitely not an easy series for you. Were you caught off guard by that at all? 일단 축하드리고요. DnS 선수 2대1로 이겼는데 생각보다 쉬운 경기들은 아니었어요. 그래서 그것 때문에 혹시 당황했는지?
일단은 첫 판 너무 쉽게 이겨가지고 두 번째 판도 쉽게 이길 거라고 생각했는데 두 번째 판부터는 좀 잘하더라고요. 그래서 아무래도 지고 3세트를 하다 보니까 좀 3세트에서 경기력이 많이 안 나왔던 것 같고 근데 DnS 선수가 확실히 경기력이 많이 발전하고 있는 것 같아요.
So he says, when it came to the series in that first map, I won so easily that I thought second map I would win easily as well, but then I lost. So headed into that third map, I don't feel like I was able to perform to my best abilities, but definitely as I could tell that he was doing really well starting from the second map on, and I can also feel that he's improved a lot. So I want to give credit to him for that. And I also just wanted to ask about the series as a whole. You've played DnS in the past, and he beat you 2-0. This time, unfortunately, as we just talked about, you were able to get revenge. So overall, what was different with this series? 전에 DnS 선수와 만났을 때는 DnS 선수가 2대0으로 이겼어요. 그래서 이번에는 뭐가 달라서 이길 수 있었나요?
그때는 토스전에 대한 이해도가 많이 떨어져서 상태였던 것 같고 그리고 연습실에서 하니까 DnS 선수가 훨씬 더 잘하는 것 같더라고요. 대회에서 하니까 제가 그래도 좀 더 잘하는 것 같고 그런 부분이 차이가 있었지 않나 생각이 듭니다.
So he says, there's two things. First of all, I think back then my understanding of TVP is not as good as it is now. And also I feel like there's a difference here because in terms of the first time we played, he was playing at home, so he was probably a lot more comfortable in that regard. And I just think that I performed better on LAN, and that was what you guys saw today, and this went over him. So I think that's what gave me the advantage. And last question for you, Ryung. Up next, you're going to be playing Seoul, and Seoul surprised everyone when he took out last year's Katowice grand finalist in stats. So does that make you a little bit more nervous going up against him, or are you confident in your TVT? 마지막으로 소울 선수 만나게 됐는데 소울 선수가 되게 놀랍게 김대엽 선수를 이겼어요. 그래서 약간 그것 때문에 조금 긴장되는지 아니면 그래도 태태전에 자신 있는지?
일단 태태전에 자신이 있긴 한데 너무 현장에서 경기력이 안 나오는 것 같아서 좀 두렵기도 하고 근데 외국 선수들이 너무 빨리 치고 올라와서 빨리 실력이 더 치고 올라오기 전에 좀 이겨놔야 될 것 같아요.
So he says, when it comes to Seoul, I mean, yes, of course, I am confident in my TVT, but on the one hand, I'm kind of disappointed because I feel like I'm not showing my best condition or play style today here on LAN. And also, I've noticed that all the foreigners are really stepping up and improving. So I feel like I'm gonna really need to beat him and stop them before they improve too much. So congratulations again, Ryung. We'll see who advances and goes on to qualify in that next match. Kaelaris, back to you.
Thank you very much. Of course, Ryung there wearing the hoodie of his old team, Axiom. Always nice to see kind of that relic from the past there and being brought forward. Ryung with an opportunity to go up against Seoul in that TVT as South Korea is going to clash against Poland for that final qualifying spot. Joining me on the desk, of course, we have Todd, we have Tasteless, we have Pig, and we have a lot of updates to kind of share with you because bracket number 2 has gotten underway. And Tasteless, I want to start with you first. We had Guru versus Scarlet. What was the result going into that?
Unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately for Guru, Scarlet lost 0-2.
Yes.
If we can hop in the game real quick here. It was this is game number 2 that we're taking a look at. Right away, Guru actually being pretty aggressive. I'll try to speed this up for you guys. You can see at this point in time, we actually have the 2 queens going down. Hold on. All right, my box game is not exactly on point, guys. But you somewhere around that box, those queens were picked up. And I had actually practiced the box before we started too, but it just didn't work out. So
pressure of the life.
Immediately, this hatchery is taken down. And the game actually did go on for a while.
Right.
But ultimately, Scarlet ends up maxing, getting close to maxing out, but Guru's already putting on more pressure, continues to hammer away, and it just seems like Scarlet, who, by the way, has recently had a lot of success being an aggro player, seems to have been out-aggroed here by Guru.
All right.
Well, met her match.
That's right, met her match. We're going to head over to Pig now as well, who was in True going up against Optimus. Now I'm seeing that your game has concluded. Can you give us an update as to what happened?
Yeah, so the score's 1-1 right now. I'm just about to hop into game number 3 with the players.
Okay.
True did end up taking the first game. A few key fungals landing on packs of ghosts and then banelings rolling in, taking them out was where the cost efficiency came from, and True just kind of managed to barrage him down. But in the second game, Optimus came back. He used a nice Liberator Hellbat pressure, kind of bounced around, did some good damage, cleaned it up with a big Marine siege tank elevator push, and just took him out. So back and forth series so far. Both players have looked good at multiple stages, and they're going to go into map number 3.
And likewise, whilst we had the interview going on, I think your match has concluded as well here, Todd. What happened in game number 2? And I mean, the whole series actually had Mana and Zanster.
Yeah, we watched most of game number 1, and they looked kind of even, but Mana assembled just too big of an army for Zanster to handle any attack with a lot of high Templars, which Zanster wasn't ready for, so he won that one despite his low upgrades.
Okay.
And now game number 2, I just rewinded, it only now concluded. Zanster had 2 great run-bys, and then now he noticed that Mana's army was kind of out on the map and out of position for a moment. So he's like, you know what? Let me go for number 3. And then he attacked over there, and you see he only had slightly more, but he was able to really make a lot of these attacks happen properly, like here as he regroups for a little bit. I think I rewinded a little bit too far. Hits with some banelings here in the third base. Zanster was all over the place. He was truly the aggressor in that game, and I think it just worked out so well for him because Mana just wasn't units proof all over the place. He kept on letting those units in here again. This was the big run by that really ended it here for him as he was in the middle of the map.
Well, Zanster has a great mastery of this map. We saw it up against Showtime in one of our qualifiers, but Showtime managed to actually hold on against that, even though Zanster was all over the place. Thank you very much for the updates, gentlemen. We can take a look at the brackets to get you up to date, not only with bracket 1, but also bracket 2. Here is our bracket number 1, with TY and Maru being able to take the 2 qualifying spots. And down to the bottom, we have one more match left here for bracket number 1, with Seoul going up against Ryung. It's a TVT. It's Poland going up against South Korea. Next up, let's check in with bracket number 2 as well, as we had a few results come in here and there from our desk, as well as some of the other games that were going on live, as all of the players have been playing their hearts out here with another round of 16 in the upper bracket. A lot of Zergs have been able to move through into that round of 8, and with True and Optimus 1-1 at the moment, we could see a few more of those Zergs powering through. So, but I think this was to be expected kind of, Pig. When looking at this bracket, we thought that a lot of those Zergs were going to have a good time here.
I mean, there's just so many powerhouses in there. These aren't just run-of-the-mill Zerg players. You know, obviously surprising to see Scarlet in that lower bracket, but players like Carrol and so on are all going to be, you know, pushing their way on forwards. Good to see Night End out playing as well. Unfortunately, did fall in that first round, but does have a shot in the lower bracket. Show us some of those nice Romanian Protoss play. He's been playing back since the very beginning, so good to see him still at it.
All right, well, gentlemen, I think that really concludes things here. We have one more match from bracket number 1, and this will be a qualifying match, ladies and gentlemen, out there at home watching. Thank you very much so far for tuning in. We're almost concluded here with bracket number 1. It's going to be a qualifying match. Who will make it to the round of 24?